I'm guessing that you've clicked on this video because you are about to set out and buy your first set of motorcycle gear, and you're looking into this topic completely lost in the abyss of all of these different brands, manufacturers, these different styles, these different materials, and you're getting completely and utterly overwhelmed and lost. But don't worry, in this video of Jack Talks Bikes, I'm going to talk you through what I did from my experience when I first got into bikes, pass on some advice to yourselves of how I think it's benefited me and some lessons that maybe I've learned along the way. So stick around and let's find out what 6 pieces of motorcycle gear I recommend you invest in, and hopefully I can save you a few quid doing it. So number one, obviously here in the UK, is going to be a helmet. You don't want to cheap out on your brain. So when you're shopping around, you're going to find lids that are available from about 60 quid, 70 quid, 100 quid, loads of different brands out there, right the way up to these all singing, all dancing, carbon fiber, fancy brands that are trying to charge you 700, 800, 900 pounds. Okay. Now, the only thing I would say in this area, this is the only bit of equipment that you do not want to buy secondhand. This is where, if you've got yourself a budget for your motorcycle equipment, this is where a good 50% of that budget needs to go. You're going to be buying the best, most expensive helmet you can afford. Okay, don't take one off Facebook Marketplace. Don't get a hand-me-down from your Uncle Dave's next door neighbor who had a bike back in the 90s. You want to make sure that this lid, you know the history of it, because ultimately, if you're going to die in an accident, it's going to be because of a head injury. Most injuries that bikers sustain are at low speeds, most accidents, sorry, at low speeds, not flying along at 100, 120 miles an hour. They tend to be low speed accidents on the road, where if you come off and you hit your head, you're going to suffer some serious head injury or something like that. It could be fatal. So from my point of view, invest in the right lid, okay? I did a whole video on good lids versus cheap lids, blah, blah. You can click on that from the pop-out banner at the top. But if you're looking around for lids, from my point of view, you want to be looking for a full-face helmet. As a minimum, it needs to be ECE 2205 certified. The new rating is 2206, but you don't have to worry about that so much. If you can afford a 2205 lid and it's your dream lid, then go for that one, because 2205 has been the standard for absolutely decades. 2206, it's a slight change in the way the helmets are tested. It puts them through a slightly more realistic safety test, but most helmets that are 2205 have been put through the test and then upgraded to 2206. They haven't really changed much. So yeah, shopping around, ECE 2205 or 2206 certified is your absolute gold standard, okay? And as I mentioned, do not buy secondhand. Okay, you don't know if this helmet's been dropped in the garage multiple times, or if it's been come off in an accident and only suffered some slight damage, cosmetic damage on the outside of the shell. You don't know what that internal polystyrene insert that's going to actually protect your head, what the condition of that's like. So again, yeah, make sure you're buying new in this area. A bonus tip around helmets is to make sure that it fits. So if you get yourself someone like J&S or Infinity Motorcycles or anything like that, get yourself into one of these places and try on multiple helmets. So for me, I've recently upgraded to my Bell. I think that's a DLX Flex Star, Race Star Flex, something like that. I'll put the name on the screen. I recently upgraded to that, so I've got a Bell-shaped head. There's a joke in there somewhere. My previous helmet was also Bell. I've tried on all sorts. I've tried on Shark helmets. I tried on Arai helmets. I tried on Shoei helmets, and I even tried on AJV helmets. And each one of them, whilst it did fit, some of them were better than others. I've always found that the Bell ones fit the shape of my head much better than any other brand. So before you pull the trigger online and find it cheaper online, have a look around in these shops like J&S and Infinity Motorcycles, and ask them if they price match with a website that you found it cheaper on, because you might find yourself getting a good deal from those guys. But yeah, biggest tip, go out and try the helmet on before you pull the trigger. Now, number 2, this is the second area that I would invest in when it comes to my motorcycle gear. So you spent a chunk of your budget on your helmet. Whatever you've got left now needs to buy various different things. And I would say in the order I'm about to say them. The next area you want to invest in is a good jacket, because jackets aren't just fashion statements. So you might have found this nice, cool leather jacket that you've seen in the high street at Zara. It might look great, but it won't be double stitched. And it will rip open as soon as it hits that tarmac at 40 miles an hour. And you'll end up finding that your elbow becomes a meat crayon for the road after that 40-foot slide, and you're in for a whole world of pain. You want to be looking for jackets that are CE rated armor, okay? This will include a little stamp inside the jacket. It'll say it's CE rated A or AA or AAA. As a bare minimum, from my point of view, try and find a jacket that is CE rated AA. Avoid anything that's A rated. and you want to find a jacket that's got as a minimum shoulder protection, elbow protection, and ideally a pocket where you can install or insert a back protector at a later date. Textiles is where I invested a lot of my money because I find that they are a really good all-rounder. They offer a great level of protection against UK weather. They're not quite as abrasive resistant as fall leathers, but they are cooler in the sun. They are warmer in the winter. They are often more waterproof. They offer just a good all-round everyday level of protection. Now, you can go out and get things like mesh jackets, which are absolutely great for the summer, but they are not waterproof. Like I mentioned, leather jackets don't tend to be waterproof either. They just don't have they just don't have that ability to sustain a level of waterproofing that a textile man-made fabric can do. So again, when shopping around for jackets, look for what's going to suit you and your riding style. If you're only a summer rider, then a mesh jacket or a leather jacket, is going to be much, much better than a full textile. But if you plan to commute, riding all kinds of weather conditions, do some cross-country touring, then you may want to be looking down the road of textiles and all the different versions of textiles that are available. A good tip here is to find something with some high visibility piping and striping on them. So if you get caught out in a darker evening, then the headlights of the car should hopefully light you up a little bit better like a Christmas tree. If you just look at my Motor Red one behind me, absolutely covered in high vis. And my Zaka one's got those two bright high vis stripes on the shoulders and down the chest plate. So yeah, look for things that are high visibility. And again, if you're shopping on a budget, don't be afraid in this area to start looking at second-hand gear, because there are a lot of people out there that have expanding waistlines. As middle-aged men like to eat a few too many pies, and we find that over the years our metabolism slows down and our gear gets tighter and it must be shrinking in the wash, when actually it's just us getting fatter. So each and every year, if you go on things like Vinted and eBay and Facebook Marketplace, you'll find people selling gear at a fraction of the price because they've either had to get the next size up or they may have just treated themselves to something newer. So shop around in those areas and don't be afraid to buy secondhand when it comes to things like jackets. Now, number 3 is going to be gloves. There's a whole video on my channel talking about the features of gloves and the difference between textile gloves and summer gloves like leather gloves. So you can go watch that by clicking the pop out at the top of the screen. But ultimately, this is the third area of protection that I think you should be investing in. Because the first thing you're going to put down in the event of an accident or a low side or anything like that is going to be your hands. So you're going to put your hands down, and if you've got no gloves and no protection, or they're not adequate gloves, then your hands are going to take the brunt of that impact. You end up with broken wrists, broken fingers, scars and scuffs and scrapes all over the palms of your hands. Some really nasty injuries. So as a bare minimum, from my point of view, in summary, if you don't want to watch the other video, you want some gloves that are full finger gloves. There's no excuse for having your fingers sticking out. They need to be CE rated. You need wrist closures or Velcro to make sure they hold on in the event of an accident. And as a minimum, knuckle armor. And if you can, palm sliders as well. For myself, I've invested in 2 sets. I've got a set of summer gloves and a set of winter gloves for the waterproofing. But you can also go out there and find hybrid gloves that offer some kind of protection in both climates and weather environments, which is ideal for us here in the UK. And again, you don't have to buy new. This is going to be a theme for everything running through this video now. You do not have to buy new. So get online, shop around, see if there's any used shops or anything in the local area. I know in Chester we have shops that sell used motorcycle gear, but again, there's things like Vinted, eBay and so forth, and you get online and find yourself a used pre-loved set of motorcycle gloves. Now, number 4 is going to be boots because, well, your feet really do matter. You might be questioning, why have I not done jeans in the order of things? But from my point of view, boots are going to offer you a substantial level of protection over just a pair of jeans. Because for me, for instance, I went for a high up sport boot, which came halfway up my calf. And the protection that offered was full calf protection. In the event the bike falls on me, it's going to protect me and stop any fractures, that sort of way. If I'm sliding down the road, it's protecting my calf. It's also offering lateral force protection in the event that someone pulls out into the side of my bike. It's not going to crush my foot sideways. So it offers that protection side to side as well. Basically, the overall level of protection that boot was giving me for half of my leg and my foot outweighed the protection of having a decent pair of trousers on. So I would say boots is number 4 on the list. And as I've mentioned before, shop around, look for second-hand items. There's plenty of them on the market. And have a think about the kind of boot or shoe that you're looking for, because there's an entire catalogue of stuff available. You can get high-up sports boots. You can get cruiser-style leathers. You can get motocross with the clasps. You can get low down trainer boots. You can get halfway boots that are somewhere in the middle. There's a whole range of different trainers and boots and stuff out there. So if it was my advice to you starting out, invest in a high up sports boot that offers maximum protection for your whole kind of shin down. And then from there, build it out. Look for boots that are like trainer boots and so forth after that, depending on your riding style. Anyway, number 5, this is where trousers come in, because, well, not all jeans or leathers or textile trousers are built the same. Okay, so regular denim has as much abrasion resistance as soggy cardboard, but so does some motorcycle jeans. And I did a whole video on this as well that's coming out on the channel soon. So don't feel like just because they're a motorcycle brand that they're going to offer the same level of protection as every other set of denim jeans out there. What you're looking for is jeans that have got additional armor lining and additional material inside them. Things like Kevlar or Kovek. Kovek? I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah, so different bits of material in the right key areas, because some motorcycle jeans might not offer that. They might just offer the CE rated padding in the key areas and no additional abrasion resistance. So yeah, look around for the correct armor, the correct padding, and the correct materials used in their construction. As an absolute minimum, when shopping for your jeans, whether that's jeans, textiles, or leathers, you want to make sure there is some sort of knee protection, and ideally some sort of hip protection, or at least pockets to upgrade to an upgraded hip protection. And then on top of that, as I mentioned, making sure there's additional padding and abrasion resistance in high impact areas such as your arse, your knees, your sides of your knees, the backs of your calves, your hips, that sort of stuff. So making sure all that's built into the jeans. And again, as I've said countless times, you do not have to buy new when it comes to this stuff, because there is a whole market of stuff, of people selling used denim, used leathers, and used textiles. So make sure you go out and check those out. Now, number 6 is going to be base layers and waterproofs, because these are the unsung hero of every single ride. If you've ever tried to pull a set of wet jeans off, then you know full well that it's an absolute challenge and the chafe is real. So thermal base layers are going to keep you warm with none of the bulk. And if you pack things like a packable waterproof overlayer, so a big jacket that can go over your current jacket, and a pair of slip-on elasticated trousers that can go over your armored trousers, then they're going to be your new best friend, because especially if you can pack them down and fit them under the seat of the bike. Because as we know, here in the UK, the weather can be so interchangeable between half-an-hour locations. So making sure you've got that sort of gear and protection under the bike with you, once you're on the ride, under your seat or in a backpack or in a pocket on your jacket, it's going to mean that it's going to change that ride from an absolute nightmare and one that you want to go home from to one that you're able to power through and keep enjoying. So that there is all of your core kit covered. There's no fashion statements in this and absolutely no bullshit. As I've already said to you, I'm budget friendly. I want you guys to get the maximum amount of protection whilst you're out on the road and not skimp and be stung by brand tax. It's just hopefully some advice and tips that I've given you that might help you save a few quid, save your skin in the long run, and just make riding a bit more of an enjoyable experience and something that is a bit more accessible to yourself, because hopefully I've broken down some of those budgeting barriers. As I say, check out the description and the links below for some of the gear that I've got, including some of the stuff from True Tension as well. And let me know in the comments what your first bit of bike gear was, and whether you regret buying it and whether you'd recommend something different. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more honest tips and reviews from myself, some guy that's going out and making the same dumb mistakes and trying to prevent you from making those same dumb mistakes over and over again. And yeah, like I say, like, subscribe, follow the channel, and I've put a playlist together of gear reviews, which will be somewhere on the screen. So click that if you want to find out more about my review of trousers and jackets and helmets and gloves, and my advice about each one of those key elements of material. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. So thank you very much for watching.